Starting again. What's happening? So that is the roadmap. Sorry, I think I'm saying. So that is the roadmap to success. Let me quickly read this out before I bring Israel on to have quite some minutes conversation with me. By 2030,
Oh,
hello,
hello? Yeah, I think your network tripped off.
can you hear me, Israel?
I can hear now.
Is it still there? Huh? Is it from my side?
Hello? Hello?
Hello, Israel, can you hear
Yes,
me?
you're
Can you
back now.
confirm if you can hear me? Close.
Hello?
Lucas.
Hello? I can hear you. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think you're back now.
Can you hear me, Israel?
Yes.
Hmm? Oh, okay, great. Uh, so, um, uh, so quickly, like I was saying, I was talking about the creator economy, which will be worth $530 billion by 2030, and that is just less than 6 years to this time. So, if you want to escape being fed up with being in traffic from morning to night, or being aimless, or just roaming about the same circle, getting forced to work overtime, having to, uh, you know, stressed up from morning to night, no time to go on vacation, no time to do other stuff. So, I think is the best time you jump on the creator economy. Of course, you can Google creator economy. If you have digital economy, we have quite a lot of economy going on. Okay, so nice having you, Israel. Nice having you with me. I think I can quickly jump uh, on the radar now with you. So, can I meet you? Can you introduce yourself with Israel?
Okay, my name. Thank you. First, let me say thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this. I think it's a good thing that you are putting a platform together to sort of encourage people, to sort of help people to see possibilities and to help people to aspire. So I think that's a very good thing. So well done. My name is Israel Adeseko. I am a Nigerian. I am a Christian. I am a believer that if you put in work, if you put in effort, you would get to whatever and wherever you want to get to. Um, I have been fortunate enough to be supported and helped by people. I've been fortunate enough to be helped by God. I've been fortunate enough to have people hold my hands to, places that I really want to get to. So I think if I think of myself and to introduce myself, I would say I'm somebody that's been helped by a lot of people, somebody that's been helped by God, and somebody that believes that there's a lot of things that you can do if you put in the effort.
Awesome, awesome. So, can you tell me brief? Take me through your educational background. How did you start, and to the stage where you are now?
Okay, so in terms of education, I think, of course, the preliminary, pre-university education, and then my university education, I would say, started from being a pre-degree student at the University of the Federal University of Technology, Akure. So I actually gained admission to put that through pre-degree, and it was because
What year was
at
that?
that was 2007 or eight.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was eight. Yep. So I did pre-degree 2008, and then 2009 I started my degree proper as urban and regional planning student. And so I did 5 years at FUTA, and then I went to serve, and then I started working as well. And then during the time that I was working, I did my master's at the University of Lagos. Um, and that was for 2 years. I think that was between 2016 and 2018. And then after that, I commenced my PhD at the University of Tasmania in Australia in 2019, which I just completed. So all through my journey, I would say that just believing that you can do things and then just putting your foot forward has been my own goal. The interesting thing about my educational journey, I would say, is that for all of my three degrees, they're probably what you consider as different from each other. So for my first degree, I did urban and regional planning. My second degree was environmental management and environmental management in chemistry at the University of Lagos. So they were quite different, quite different from what I've been used to. And then for my PhD is in media and communication. So it's more of
Oh,
having expertise in strategic comms, but also in research in environmental comms. So I've been through different, spectrum of learning when it comes to education. And one way that I've been able to connect everything has been through environment. So I've had this theme of environment across all of the things that I've done. So my first degree was more of understanding physical environment, designs and things like that. Then my master's was in environmental management, which was more of understanding biophysical environment, and things like that. And then My PhD was more of how do you communicate all of these things in terms of policy making, in terms of making decisions, in terms of helping people to sort of take action and things like that. So I think that's been the the summary of my education all through. Over to you.
Lovely, lovely.
Yeah.
It makes very uh, let me use the word beautiful sense when I see young guys taking their time to explore
Mm,
from one field, urban and regional planning, uh, to environmental management, focusing more on the chemistry parts, and now your PhD communication aspects. But funny enough, I can see the connectivity because one of the things that defined success is also the ability to be able to connect the dots. I can see the connectivity because, for example, as a urban and regional planner, you might not necessarily be to just like lawyers do not necessarily need to go to court. It's not all lawyers that go to court to go and present a case. So use environmental. There's nothing like a URP without talking about environmental management. And how do you
mm,
use the word talk when you don't even
mm,
communicate all these things, maybe to people, maybe to
mm,
researchers, maybe to regulators, even to institutions or governments and whatsoever. So it depends on how you can connect all these dots together. One of the things that have inspired me a lot in life has been the ability to follow the process and understanding how process works. So can you take me to how what's informed first? Let me first ask you, what has been the things that have informed your decision from picking URP to doing environmental management as a master in Unilag, from FUTA to Unilag, to now going to Australia? So what are those things that informed your decision as a person?
I think this is this is a question that I have to think critically about. Um, the first
Or
thing I
was
would
it
say
all,
is that
or was it all accidental? Was it all coincidental? And so you can go
so
ahead.
that's yeah, so that's why I said this is something I really need to think critically about. So the first thing I would say is that um, I prior to food, I'd never, and, I can say this very shamefully. I'd never heard anything about urban and regional planning prior to going to FUTA. And in fact, my degree was supposed to be for architecture, but then the way it is in Nigeria and then FUTA at the time, it was very competitive and things like that. And so when I was applying, I think I had an uncle in FUTA then was a professor, and then he actually suggested that I should pick urban and regional planning as against architecture. So maybe I would say that actually kick-started, whatever I am today. So he suggested that, and at the time, I just wanted to get to school. I want to, start my university education, and so I picked that, having, something at the back of my mind that by my first year I'm going to change to architecture because I thought it was going to be easy then. So I did pre and then I did urban and regional planning. My first year of urban and regional planning, one of the things that I chatted to somebody about was that if I could, have a very good score or grade, then there are possibilities for me to change from urban and regional planning to architecture. And so that was my strategy at the time. I wanted to change from urban and regional planning to architecture. But after my first year, I think I just grew into the idea and the science of urban and regional planning. And then I'm somebody that tries as much as possible to ask questions and then to sort of think ahead and ask people, what do you think about this and all of that. So I spoke to a number of people who were, maybe 1 year or 2 years ahead of me at the time. And then they're like, oh, this is good. It's not a bad course. It's something that you can do and all of that. And so by the time I was, leaving 100 level to 200 level, I'd already like, look, I think this is what I was going to do. And by that time, I reached out to a lot of people, like I said, and then the rest they say is history. By the time I was in 300 level or 400 level, I'd written a book then to inspire to inspire people or students to study urban and regional planning. That was how quickly adapted I was to urban and regional planning. So after my university education, or even before my university education ended, the first degree, I think one of the things that sort of kickstarted, this idea of environment and all of those things was during FUTA, I was a little bit involved in with a lot of things. I started a group then that we called Environmentalist Coterie, and what we were doing then was more of environmental education. We go to schools across Ondo State. Then we would um, we would teach them about climate change, about waste management, about things like that. So I had this experience that was more of urban and regional planning, but also environmental education. And I had this skill of, bringing people together to sort of, just volunteer and do all of those things. So I think that actually kickstarted this idea of, this is how you manage the environment. This is how you help people to understand how to manage the environment and things like that. So we did that, and that was very successful. And then when I left, FUTA and I went to serve, I did one of the and to the credit of a lot of people, I did one of the most impactful project that was environmentally related in Kaduna State then. We did what we call the Kaduna Green Schools Project. And it was a project that we identified a couple of schools across, Kaduna State. And then I brought corpers together, and then we developed a curriculum about environmental issues, about climate change, about all of those things. And then we develop a game or like a competition across all of these schools so that they can, compete after we've taught them about the environment. And we got a lot of sponsorship to do that. So at the end of that, I think it became clear to me that I really, really am interested in how to translate environmental knowledge to the general public. So I took that along with me after my my NYSC. But I started as an urban planner, came back to Lagos, worked as an urban planner, and I was working on really really good and great project actually, and a lot of master planning project and all of that. But in the course of doing that, I think I started developing this interest around research as well, around how to not just teach people about the environment, but how to help them um, to sort of do the things that we are teaching them to do. So one of the things, or one of the learnings that I had from FUTA and from my NYC then from that major project was that a couple of months after we've been to all of those schools, because when we went to all those schools, we'll give them, tree plants, seedlings, and all of those things to plant. We gave them, waste bins and things like that. A couple of months after, I visited a couple of those schools, and I could see that some of the things we thought them weren't, taken aboard. Some of those, bins were not even in the school anymore. So I was curious to know why, you would teach people, because the idea was if you teach people, what to do, somehow they would take on that learning and then they will apply it to themselves. But that wasn't the case. So I guess I started, developing that idea around how to research, better ways to change behavior, to help people change behavior, which is just, more than just teaching them about the science itself. So when I was in Lagos and I was working as a consultant, as an urban planner, I started my master's at the time, which was very, very difficult and very tasking because then my master's was in environmental management, was in a subject that I wasn't really, really grounded in some ways. So, um, and I needed to work, Monday to Fridays. I would go to lectures after work and things like that. So it was really stressful, but I was doing it there. Now, the other thing about my master's was that it was a professional master's, and this is one of the lessons that I would probably, um, um, like to highlight later on. That sometimes it's important to know what you want to do. It's important to know where you're going to and how you can get there. So I knew at the time that my master's in environmental management at the University of Lagos was a professional master's. And what that meant was that you can't use that for your PhD if you want to, further for your PhD, because it's a professional master's, not an academic master's. But I knew also that at the time, there were universities abroad that were taking professional masters, for PhDs. And so I was wondering why, we in Nigeria that wasn't the case. So, but I think in hindsight, I think that was a very smart decision on my own part, because I thought, look, if I know that I wouldn't be able to do a PhD in Nigeria with this masters, then I would have no other option than to find PhD abroad. So I guess that was the thinking behind that. So I did that masters, and then after that masters, thankfully I did very well in the masters. And so after that masters, I started exploring. I started reading already about how to translate knowledge, how to translate environmental science, and the behavior change, how media changes people's mind around environmental science, and all of those things. So I I stumbled upon the work of the person that eventually supervised me for my PhD, and then I was like, oh, this looks interesting. This sounds interesting, but I do not have anything that really connects me with somebody that's a professor of communication and all of that. So I reached out to her. I spoke to her. I was like, look, this is what I've done before. This is what I'm doing. Although I do not have academic qualifications to say that this is my area of research, but I have done some work that I think are related to environmental comms, and I think that this is something that you want to consider in probably giving me um, a sponsorship or a scholarship for PhD. I know that you do a lot of work around environmental comms. Luckily for me at the time, there was a project that was being proposed, which was
Okay.
more of environmental translation, translating policies, and so I develop a proposal to that, and then that was how my proposal was I judged the best, and then that was how I got the scholarship. Now, everything leading to that point that I got my my position as a PhD student then in Nigeria was okay in the way that I've said it. But I should also make a point that by the time that I was leaving my NYC, I had been intending to study abroad in some way. So I'd been applying to some masters to do
Oh,
abroad and things like that. And I got, are you with me?
yes, I'm go ahead. I lost you a second,
Yeah.
but
And then, okay. So I was saying that, all through the time before,
you're back.
during my NYC, and then the time that I started my master's at the University of Lagos, I had been applying to do my master's in some other countries, and then I did get a lot of rejection, but I also got some scholarship. But for some reason, I couldn't travel at the time, and so I just decided that, okay, look, if I'm not able to get this master's abroad, I can keep doing my master's in Nigeria, and that was what I did by applying to the University of Lagos. So there are a lot of failures in between all of these things, but I think what was more important to me was, at the end of the day, I wanted some things, and then I was pushing myself to get those things. So that's the story of my education, my educational journey, basically.
Come, it looks like quite a lot of you uh, that I know. Many of you always get, of course, not that I know, because I don't think I've even met you. I'm not too sure if I've met you in person. I don't think you have met me in person. I don't think we've met physically before, but of course, quite a lot of social media and digital platform really helped a lot to connect
Mm.
people that do not have that opportunity to meet physically together.
Mm.
And one of the things that have been so beautiful that I've also observed,
No.
Okay, I think I'm back. Can you hear me now, Israel? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. I won't be repeating myself about this network. So sometimes we
That's
want
okay.
to want to switch. So I won't be repeating. I'll just be going straight to the point. So it's so intriguing, fascinating. What's happened? That quite a number of you are leveraging on the opportunities to get scholarship to study out abroad. Quite a number of people that have that I even know. I know a lot. I'm just praying that I'll be able to have that time to be able to interview a lot of people. I know quite a lot across the globe. But one thing that I've been setting some of you apart is not all, but quite a number of you has been this access to scholarship. But I want to quickly ask, did you graduate with first class from FUTA? Because I know few that I've interviewed, we say, oh, maybe because they graduated with first class, that's why they are able to get scholarship to study abroad. So in your own case, did you finish with first class,
So
in your first degree?
the answer to that question is no, I did not. But
Oh,
I should make a point that my first degree, I graduated very well. It was close to a first class. I didn't get a first class, but it was very close to a first class. Then for my master's, it was a distinction. And that I think was what actually distinguished me. Because when I was applying for scholarship, particularly for my PhD, it was very clear that you needed to have, a distinction or a first class. And so I think the combination of the fact that they could see from my transcript that okay, this person looks like somebody that is, an eye flyer, and then my distinction at master's level was very helpful. Having said that, I think I know a couple of people too that didn't graduate with, distinction or with with first class, but then they were still able to get, um, they were still able to get scholarship. So what I would advise in that case is be selective about the kind of scholarship you want to apply to and know the criteria for that sort of scholarship and then put your best foot forward. My scholarship and this scholarship that I got were like, I think, now I am trying to remember very well because I think I had a conversation with my supervisor and we're like 20 something people that were jostling for that same scholarship. So there are a lot of people that had very good scores. So consider that when you're applying because there are a lot of people that are going to have very good result and all of those things. You're competing against people from across the world, so you need to put in your best foot forward and then you need to sort of highlight the things that distinguishes you, so or the thing that distinguishes you from the lot. So if you don't have a first class, it is not a barrier. It might limit some things that you can apply to, but it is not you know an outright no.
in your statement of purpose, when you were writing your statement of purpose, I think they call it statement of purpose, right? When you are
Yeah.
applying for this scholarship,
Mm.
I'm not an academics. I don't know much about uh, what you guys write in your statement of purpose. I've never applied for a scholarship. But of course, I'm a PhD candidate. Probably I leverage on other areas to do my PhD. But I tell people I'm not doing PhD for the sake of academics purpose or whatsoever. But quite a number of uh, you are more well versed or researched than I do when it comes to academics, stuff like that. But what do you think stand out for you when you are putting up? But of course, like quite a number of people we know have gotten a lot of grants across the globe. And so I understand when it comes to putting up these applications, a lot of strength, mental process, energy go into it. So what do you think, aside from your distinction in master, having a very strong grade? during your first degree? Also, do you think what storyline or what did you put forward? You talked about putting your best foot forward. What do you think really stand out for you?
I think, it's funny that you mentioned storyline because I mean I sort of mentor a couple of people when it
Mm.
comes to just developing yourself generally. And what I tell them is, for anything you want to get, there is at least one person that wants that thing as well. Um, your story is probably what is going to make you stand out. And so I'd done some workshop around storytelling and how to tell your story so that it catches, the attention of the person that is going to make the decision. So for me, at the time that I applied, I didn't have any publication. I was not working in academia. I wasn't a lecturer. I was a consultant, for God's sake. Um, But that brings me back to that idea that I mentioned the other time, that when you're applying for scholarship, be selective about the scholarship you're applying to. Know what they want, and then put your best foot forward. For me, I could see from my supervisor's previous work and the the listed qualities that they wanted for the PhD student that was going to take on that project, as they wanted somebody that is multidisciplinary. So somebody that has some sort of ideas about different things. So they weren't really looking for somebody who is a scholar in a particular field of research. So they wanted somebody that could combine a lot of things. And that is not an easy thing to find in one person, to be honest with you. I didn't realize at the time. I didn't know that the fact that I was able to work as an urban planner, consult as an urban planner, and by the side having an NGO, by the side doing that community aspect work, by the side being able to develop curriculum and go and teach people, by the side being able to bring volunteers together and all of that. I didn't know that those things were going to be considered as valuable. So, but I still developed that into a story. I still developed that into a story to sort of sell myself. And I was very clear about the fact that I'm a very fast learner, um, that I did my bachelor's in urban and regional planning, but look at what I did in my master's, even though that's not my field of research. You understand what I mean? So I was selling myself as somebody who is very dynamic, who is able to get into a situation and still perform. And so that was my own storyline, and I was using all of those things that I did to sort of buttress my point as evidence. um, and I think that probably was what um, singled me out as maybe a candidate that is versatile. I think versatile is the word. Somebody that can, you know, and that happened during my PhD, because my PhD started as a different project, which at the end of the day was still that project, but we had to do a couple of other things that were not very straightforward in terms of methods and things like that. And I was able to walk through all of those things. So I think um, as somebody that is going to be applying, be critical about who you are and what you are doing by yourself. Being able to identify your skills, your your strengths, I think would help you to put forward a really, really convincing story. There are people that would graduate with the first class, which for the first um, series of interviews, it will get you into the door. When they're calling for, call for application, they'll put you need to have a first class and all that. So for that one, you get to the door, but you still do interview. And during the interview, they'll be asking you some questions. Sure you get. And so the way you compose yourself, the way you say things, the way you're able to connect things together might be one of the things that the interview panel are looking at. So to your question again, for me, I think what I think was my selling point was selling my story as somebody who is versatile, somebody who is able to learn and produce, learn and reproduce, somebody who is able to get into a field and still be able to do something. And I think I demonstrated that during my PhD. So I think and of course, you need to have some some credentials to support that. By distinction maybe, and then some other things that I've done that are searchable, that they can check online and find that that's actually true about this person. So um yeah, I think those would probably be my comments on that.
I like that. I like the last
Mm.
points. Guys, whoever watching or who's going to watch this, I like that statement, learning and reproducing. You know, you see quite a number of people today, what they keep doing is to keep learning, get that mentorship, get that education, you know, building up. I have a lot of PhD. I have I think two or three PhD holders watching you now that are also doctors. Of course, over time, I'll bring them. Thank you, Caleb, and thank you, Dr. Oluwatui. Uh, and of course, I understand the fact that quite a number of people are spending most resources today in learning. But it's one thing to learn, is another thing to also reproduce. Because if you are learning, you are accumulating a lot of knowledge, uh, intellectual capacity, building your intellectual capacity, and you are not reproducing, you are not even the good book say that let your light so shine. You know, it's not do you put a light under a bushel and you expect it to attract more people or many other people. So what is very important is, as you are learning, you must also be reproducing. And another thing you mentioned that is very key to me is this issue of versatility. Being versatile, learn to diversify. You know, no single entry to the top. No single entry to the top. There are multiple ways. You must be multitasking. If there is one of those things that I've enjoyed in life, is this ability to multitask, ability to Shebi blown well. Okay, it looks like I'm back. Uh, Yeah, thank you. So thank you, engineer Folorunsho Shadidayo, for watching. Thank you guys for joining this. And I think, and I'm going to push quite a number of these podcasts, various using different means, even ads, sponsored, so that a lot of young people that are still trying to navigate their paths in life can also be able to pick this. These are vital points. You know, these are vital points that can help you. Quite a lot are confused. I don't know how quite a number of you have this privilege, this opportunity to be able to navigate yourself through the difficulties, challenges of life, most especially in a country like or a continent like Africa, Nigeria, and all those places whereby you will see a lot of people making excuses for themselves. They will tell you 1001 reasons why they cannot become and why they cannot achieve that purpose God wanted them to achieve in life, or why they cannot even move from where they are now to the next level. Stagnancy is not the way forward. Stagnancy is not the way forward. And that is why I'm doing this because even though I know that there are a lot of time constraints, but I feel that that impact, and that is one of those things I see in your profile. You know, that community servicing, volunteerism, that was what actually attracted me. I stumbled on your profile and when I was checking it out, that community engagement, your educational using what you have learned, your knowledge to also impart a whole lot of other people, mentor them. And these are the seeds we have to sow into people's heart. When it becomes, when it germinates, it becomes an oak tree. It becomes something that one cannot even be able to stop. You know, the spread is going to be very massive. Israel, I have quite a lot in my head as we are talking to ask you, but time is a factor, but I'm going to shorten it because your time, my own time, is that is the only biggest challenge that I have. You know, I'm a businessman, and but I need to do all these things. It's very, very important for me to also showcase what quite a number of you guys and Futa should be proud of quite a lot of his products. You know, Futa should be proud. You know, because maybe they are the finest university or not, it doesn't matter. But one thing I've been able to see is that across the globe, from one country, from Japan, I've interviewed someone from Japan, Canada, US, down to Australia. Uh, okay, now before I go into the country Australia, are you are through with your PhD now? You are a PhD holder. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. I said yes, yes.
Okay, great. How many years did you spend uh, to actualize the dream of becoming a doctor? Hope I lost him. He's there.
I can hear you. I don't know why
Okay, okay, great. You are
not
back.
showing here.
You are
Yeah.
back. So,
So my so I started my PhD in 2019, mid 2019, and I finished actually um in 2023. So for me, my PhD was around 4 years,
yeah, yeah.
bearing in mind that during my PhD I had the opportunity to do some external research, some visiting research that was not part of my PhD. So for the main PhD, it was around 4 years for me.
Oh, okay, awesome, awesome.
Mm.
I think my own is far, far more than that. So it's it's quite it's quite. But now, so you are an environmental person, and you have been able to showcase your stuff by connecting the dots, bringing messaging, communication, and everything into all this climate change today. And I was told, I don't know how true it is. So you're going to confirm it to me for the sake of those people that might want to travel to Australia or study in Australia or come and work in Australia. I was told Australia is one of the is the coldest, if not maybe okay, let me use the one of the coldest country. I've not been to Australia, I've been to quite a number of countries, but I've not been to Australia. And the time I had Australia is very cold. So I hate cold. So I even have to delete it from my list of countries I'm going to visit. Because if there's one thing that
Mm.
I hate the most, why I cannot live in most countries of the world, is this issue of cold. Is it true that Australia is the coldest country or continent in the world, or is one of the cold? How are you coping? And how can you relate that to the climate change that is happening now? What is the update on it? So you can go ahead and speak to that.
Well, I would say first that climate change is affecting, every country, every continent. Of course, there are impacts that are visible in some countries more than the other countries, but climate change is everywhere. In terms of, you know, cold, I am very reluctant to comment about how people perceive or how Nigerians perceive Australia. And the reason is because I've always been there before as well. I've always perceived Australia as a place where you have kangaroos, in everybody's house. You
Yeah,
have,
yeah,
snakes
reptiles,
coming to visit everybody. So I
reptiles,
so I
exactly.
understand that, yeah, I understand all of those, premonitions about Australia, but until you get here, you probably won't know. Australia is not the coldest country in the world. People should visit Canada and see and try to compare and know
Are
that
you telling me are you telling me Canada is colder than Australia?
of course, it is.
Interesting.
There are few places in Australia where you would get, the level of snow that you get in Canada and all those places. But I would say that Australia is a really beautiful country. It's a gem that is hidden from a lot of people, and I try as much as possible to encourage people to visit, and then try to put Australia as one of their options because everybody that I've met, I know there are outliers, but everybody that I've met that have compared Australia and other places would always pick Australia for some reason. So
Wow.
if you have the opportunity and you think that um you 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 don't want to follow what everybody's saying, try to come to Australia.
Are you an outlier?
That's it.
Do you see
Well,
over the years? Are you an outlier?
I don't want to take that that nomenclature, but I'm also somebody that think critically about the decision that I'm making. I've been to all those countries that you mentioned. I've been to Europe, I've been to Canada, I've been to the US, and for me, I still prefer this place. And that's a
Wow.
personal decision. Yeah, that's a personal decision. So maybe that would make you think of me as an outlier. Well, I don't know, but that's my
Uh,
own decision, and I
How
think
many
I make
how
it
many
very open.
how many snakes have visited you at home in Australia? How many snakes have you hosted? Or you are still hosting? Maybe at present now you are hosting them. I don't know. So if I you can show us some if you have them in your house. So how many snakes have visited you? Because you are trying to
Well,
paint a narrative now that I'm changing my mind.
so
That
that's
Australia
so
might
that's
be
what
one
I'm
of the
saying.
countries.
That's what
Go
I'm
ahead.
saying. I I I've been here for almost 5 years, or even 5 years now. I've not seen a snake. I've seen kangaroos, of course, but I've
You've
not
not
seen
seen a snake.
a snake.
Interesting.
Um, so most of those things that people talk about in terms of reptiles and all those things are things that happen in the bushland, are things that happen in really remote area. Of course, for kangaroos and all of that, you can find those ones, around, major cities, but you don't oftentimes find, all those things as people are, you know, project projecting it. So, but Australia is a very good country and a very beautiful country, and yeah, that's what I say about that.
So now I like that, and I think I want to emphasize on something here, on a point here. The same way, quite a number of people are in diaspora. When they hear a little negative news about Nigeria, or because it happens in one part of the country, and there is this ideology, there is this orientation that the whole of people living in Nigeria are in trouble, they are in danger. Most especially now that quite a lot of people talk about insecurity, talked about bandits, banditry. These are topics I don't like talking about because at the same time, I want to believe that one of the biggest problems that we have been having in this country is this issue of being vulnerable when you become quite much exposed. And when you are exposing yourself, and that is one of those things I don't do, and I don't participate in the controversial conversations on social media. I feel so sad most of the time when I come to social media, Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, and I discover that most of the things that we discuss about, 90% are things that are not so palatable for a nation growth. I wish if we can change our narrative, if we can change our orientation, if we can re-educate our mindset about the way we view our country, probably we will have gone beyond. There are challenges, and just like some people will say, oh, there are reptiles. Even I've read stories of how people will say, oh, they will just be in their sitting room. In Australia, the reptiles will be jumping from the roof. I have seen quite a lot, and I've had quite a lot of these things. But this happens in the remotest parts. You can't have a country, snakes will be visiting them in their cities, and the government will just be looking, doing nothing about it. And like the kangaroos are not harmful. If I have seen quite a number of them in other countries, and most especially in African countries, you can even move closer to a few of them. I don't know, but what is very important is that there are the good parts of every country and there are the bad part of every country. But what is most important is that we have more good to talk about than the bad narrative. Because I must shock you, Israel. When if I receive 100 calls from people in diaspora, 99% what they want to have conversation with me on is to tell me that the person that is in Nigeria, they know more than me, they have more information more than me, they know the news more than me, to want to discuss every bad things that have been happening, like if there is an earthquake in a part of Australia or in a part of US, or in a part in Dubai, and if little things like that happen in Nigeria, they want to feel like the whole 36 states plus FCT has been affected. So I think I like that narration. You've traveled. It's not as if like you have not been to US. You've been to US. You've been to Canada. You've been to quite a number of European countries, and you still feel that Australia is the best. Now, what are you quickly? I still have like 4 or 5 questions for you, and I want to rush. What are you up to now? Professionally, you are through with your PhD. What are you up to? And second question to add it to it so that you can take that together. Going forward, what do you see yourself doing going forward, and what are you up to?
So not to give too much information, I think I'm currently in the phase in my life where I'm just enjoying. I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying my life. I've been, I've been studying. I've been doing, a lot of things that I consider as working for so many years, and so I think I just want to take some time off. It doesn't mean I'm not, engaged. If you know what I mean, I'm engaged.
Yeah.
I'm very engaged in so many capacities, but I think this is a time in my life that I'm just, taking time off, just taking things easy a little bit. And then, of course, I've got small consulting thing that I do as well. So that takes my time as well. And then I'm committed and engaged in some other capacities here in Australia. So moving forward, I think I am going to keep pushing for my interest with regards to environmental translation. I've got a couple of writings that I needed to do as well, and then I am also I'm also going to be coming to Nigeria to do a couple of projects as well. So when all those things are really really firmed, I would probably make that known to everyone.
Great. I like that aspect. Coming back to Nigeria
Mm.
to do
Yeah,
some
yeah, yeah, of
project,
course,
because
of course.
even one of the best reasons for doing this podcast for me
Mm.
is to encourage quite a number of you guys in diaspora to not forget Nigeria. And I know a lot of people we also that are also in diaspora, we also watch this clip, and quite a number of them are watching. Somebody like Caleb is in UK, and I think I saw him, and and some people might have taken the sand of Nigeria and go on with it. Guys, it's not as even the best place in the world is Nigeria. There is nowhere like home. I don't care how rich you are, how successful you are. Your success can only be well defined when you look back and say, what can I also throw back? What impact, what investment, what opportunities can I also expose? And kudos to you guys that are doing this, that are not living your life so secretive. Some people feel that that is the best way to live their life, past their own opinion. But kudos to you guys that are coming out to impart more people to also get to those opportunities. I could remember in those years, in decades, those days, whereby if one person traveled out of from a family, to a country in diaspora is an opportunity for that family to be exposed. That one person will build the ladder and many people will climb. Of course, I've also had a lot of narrative whereby some people are so evil, some people are so bad, is how to destroy the ladder that the person that have traveled through down, uh, pull it down and everything. Try back. Okay, I'm back. So it doesn't matter your level of attainment, just with one mind, with one heart. Uh, Look back and see it's not just money alone, it's just not investment alone. What we are doing today is for information purpose, knowledge acquisition, educational purpose, and everything like that. But it looks like you are not delving into lecturing. I didn't see you mentioning anything
Um,
like
um,
lecturing.
so my reasons for doing PhD is not because I want to particularly lecture. Of course,
Oh, okay.
I do some lecturing by the side, but that's not the main reason why. I think I'm more of an industry person, so maybe that's why I didn't mention anything related to lecturing. Yeah.
Uh, we have been designing something around in the company, in my company, around something like, we diversify into quite a lot of portfolios, and we have been designing something around waste recycling. Uh, Funny enough, I study something related to environmental, even to PhD level, and I understand there are a lot of waste in Nigeria, and I don't know. I know there was a time I was in London. London banned all these polythene and everything like that. Quite a number of countries are looking into recycling, and I think is one of the mitigations for climate change. So, in 1 minute or less than that, let's go a bit technical. Uh, how do you see uh, waste, and how do you think, in your own opinion and you're based on your research and your experience, that you think is the best way to manage waste? Is a threat, and is going to be a very big threat in the next coming years, and many governments are not looking into this. Do you think more private people, private sector investors should come in, or do you think it should be left in the hand of government alone? How do you see something around that? How do we regulate or manage waste?
I think generally, so the first thing I would say is that number one, I'm not a waste management expert, but I would say that when we talk about waste, there are different kind of waste. There's medical waste. There are different kind of waste, and so the management for or the
But
management of
you will agree with me that
residual.
they all cause you will agree with me that they all cause environmental nuisance. Maybe
Yeah,
it's
yeah, of course,
medical,
of course.
maybe it's home or whatever. They can all be environmental nuisance if they are not managed very well.
Mm. Yeah, that's very correct. But I think I was just making the point that there is no one strategy that is going to fit for all of those, streams of waste. And to my knowledge, I think I know that there are a lot of public-private partnership that has been in the Nigerian space with regards to waste management as far back as maybe 10 years ago. I am aware of things like recycle point, like recyclers and things like that that are managing solid waste and all of the other streams of waste. So private partnership is really going to help in terms of waste management in Nigeria. And I think that has come to stay. But in terms of the other aspect of waste management, we can be, maybe regulation and things like that. Maybe there's a need for us to, up that a little bit more, and also, have government that are really interested in um, in pulling their weight as well. Because sometimes I have found in my own, work that a lot of the solutions that have been developed for climate change, for waste management, for pollution, for all of those things require significant level of political will. And so when you don't have that, most times all of those solutions are more or less dead on arrival. So I think the first thing for me would be, we need to get most of these decision makers on board and seeing the need to actually do all of this. So political will would be the most important thing for me, as a person.
Okay, great. Now, uh, Jackpot to get exposed or Jackpot to disappear because Nigeria is very bad. So Jackpot to be exposed, come back to Nigeria, build a nation that everybody will be proud for with, or Jackpot to disappear and probably never return back again. What is your take? 5 seconds.
Again, yeah, again, I think that is everybody's decision to make. Of course, we can all try to be politically correct and say japa and then come back. I think that's what most people would expect. For me, I don't even think about japa as an idea, because I think it's something that comes in wave. It's something that happens and then goes and happens. I didn't japa. If I stayed in Nigeria,
What
I
did
think,
what did you do?
by the grace of God, I'm serious. I think if I still stayed in Nigeria till now, I'll still be very successful. That's just my own belief. So I didn't japa. And the time that I left Nigeria, there wasn't the wave of japa at the time. So I left because I wanted to do something. I have completed the thing that I want to do. I'm going to decide what I'm doing next. And if it is for me to come to Nigeria, I'll come. If it is for me to go somewhere else, I'll go. But for now, and in terms of telling people, I think people have the opportunity to self-define, what living in Nigeria and coming back is to them. We have different, everybody, their purpose are different, and so people might decide that you know I don't want to go back to Nigeria because Nigeria is this and this. I'm not their experience is probably going to determine what they're going to do. We can only admonish them to go back to Nigeria, like me, that I'm going to give back to Nigeria. you know let them come and also give back to Nigeria. You are in Nigeria, you're doing really fabulous work with your company and all of those things. There are people like that as well, that are really committed to doing that as well. So I think everybody would be able to define. I think if we slip into that idea of telling everybody that you have to come back, you have to come back, I don't know how that is going to work, because it's probably not going to happen that way, to be honest. So everybody has the right to self-define. You know, that.
Everybody can't come back. Oh, I'm not
Yeah,
supporting the
sure.
opinion that everybody have to come back. I believe that
Yeah,
wherever you are is the
yeah.
home. That is my
Mm,
belief. Of course, gone are those days, years back, that I
mm,
always discourage people from leaving Nigeria, from traveling and not returning. But to these days, I think I've
mm,
changed my perspective. If you want to travel
mm,
and you don't even want to come back, fine. But one thing that is very important to me is this: Nigeria is home. You have your families. There's no way every a single person will take all his family, both nuclear and extended family and whatsoever. The most important thing is that wherever you are in the world, always give back. Always look back, give back to your country. That is what is more important. And we appreciate quite a number of people
mm,
that come back to Nigeria to serve. After they finish their
mm,
serving, maybe they serve in government as a minister or as a governor, or as a commissioner or whatsoever, and they return back to their base. No, so it is all about, we cannot stay in one place all our life, but it is the beauty of living too, moving from one. And I believe traveling is one of the biggest exposure, and even education. For me, even the best form of education for me is traveling, which I've in my own personal research. Now, what is your three top shots? Because I want to end this conversation in the next 2 minutes. What's your three top shots if you have to advise a young graduate, that young guy that just graduated and he wants to travel out of the countries to further his studies? Three top shots.
Okay, so because I don't want us to limit this to just traveling out of the country, there are people in Nigeria that will also see succeed if they follow what I'm about to say. So I'm going to just say,
Okay.
for you to really progress generally in life, my own approach has been: number one, which is not part of the strategy I want to share, is that I believe that I am going to succeed, and I believe that God is going to help me to succeed. That's my own belief, right? So I think that sense of understanding has really helped me. But for the three strategies, I would say number one, I think people should commit to delayed gratification. And I say that because I've practiced that. Delaying a lot of things. There are some things that I wish I had done that a lot of people that I know that are my friends that have done that I didn't do, not because I didn't have the capacity to do, but I didn't do because I know that committing to such things is going to limit some of my progress. And so I decided to stop those things and then continue with some of the things. So delayed gratification, I think, is really, really important. Um, Try as much as possible to strip yourself of some things that you normally want to do just to get to where you want to go to. So the second thing I'll also mention is I think it's important for people to progressively commit to whatever they want to do. So progressively, what I mean by progressively is that you want to get a scholarship, for example. It's important for you to put in things into place that would help you to get to that scholarship, right? You want to study abroad, it's important for you to start with wherever you are and then get to you being able to apply and all of that. So it's important for you to be able to progressively get to where you want to. The third thing that I think is also very important is I think the role of mentorship. And a lot of people shy away from that, maybe because they're not willing to open up themselves, to other people. The role of mentorship is really, really important to achieving whatever you want to achieve. Mentors will hold your hand and take you, to places that you would only dream of if you want to go by yourself. So, having a mentor or couple of mentors that would help you is always, always, always a very good idea. Have a mentor. You need to progressively put in effort to get to where you want to get to, and then you need to delay your gratification. Those are my three top shots for living life.
The application,
Can
mentorship,
you hear me at all?
what's the third one?
I didn't hear you.
Okay.
I can't hear you.
Hello, sir, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, I can hear you now.
Uh, Direct gratification, mentorship, what's the third one?
So the third one is having mentors, having people that can show you the way. Mentorship is very important.
Yes, I skipped the third.
So I said delayed gratification, one. Then
Yeah,
two, progressive effort towards your goal. That means you keep
great.
doing things. You don't stop
Yeah,
for whatever reason. You keep doing things.
yeah.
Just little here, little there. Keep doing things. And then three, having mentors, would really help.
Perfect, perfect. I don't think I'm going to repeat this. Uh, uh, I think everybody can pick it. Progressive mindset, keep doing. I think even in every many people that have interviewed, I think I said one thing that is also very common across the line, across the chain. That keep doing. It doesn't matter maybe you are facing one challenge or an obstacle, which is very, very prominent to everybody. Anybody, as long as you are alive, you are going to face a lot of obstructions, discouragement, obstacles, challenges, impediments. What matter most that I have seen in people that have been able to move forward faster or smarter is that ability to build that progressive mindset and that ability to keep learning from people that have been ahead of them. And that is, I think, I can also overemphasize that. That is very, very important. Now, two more questions to go. Thank you for that, and thank you for being with me, Israel. I appreciate your time. What time are you in Australia? And we're not in the same time. We're in 11:16 a.m. here in Nigeria.
I don't seem to hear you very well.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Is this thing low?
Hello?
Hmm?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear now.
Okay. So I said, what time are you in Australia? We are in 11:17 a.m. in Nigeria now.
So it's 8:17 p.m. now,
Your,
Friday night.
your voice is low. Is it from your side? I can't hear you again.
No, I did not. It's 8:17 p.m.
6:17.
8
8:17 p.m. Oh,
8:17
8:17 p.m. So
8:17 p.m. Yeah.
oh, okay. Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, so are you marrying an Australian or that time or Nigerian?
I, I didn't hear your question very well.
Sorry, can't be. Not you right now.
Hello?
If the voice is not coming out again.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear now. I can hear you now.
Sorry.
Hello?
Okay, so if you can hear me, the last question but not least.
No.
Can you,
So so the thing is when you speak, it sort of delays.
so what am
So I
I
don't
hearing?
hear what you say. You're speaking, but I can't hear you. Then later on, it sort of echo.
Okay, so if you can answer the last question from my side, the last but not the least. What are your top three? Top three, if you have to invest in some investment portfolios today, what are your top three investments on your sleeve or in your sleeve that you feel that are your shots that you want to go for?
Uh, so I think you're an agricultural person. I think I would say agriculture first. Even though I don't have any I currently don't have any interest in agriculture because I don't have the expertise and all of that. But I think I am aware
This one,
of a lot of agricultural tech. I'm aware of a lot of agricultural tech, a lot of solutions that improve, farmers' lives. So I probably would want to do something related to that. I've got a friend that is doing something like that. Babajide is doing something around, um, um, helping farmers to um, prevent, perishable, goods and things like that. So he's got this business around that. So maybe that's one of the things that I'll be interested to invest in when I get the money, of course. Number two, I'm always investing in myself first. So if there's something that I think is going to get me to wherever I want to get to next, I'll commit to that. However, whatever it's going to cost me. So I am going to do that. And then maybe if the money is really, really there, very well, I can come to Akure and come and buy a couple of estates there and be building, something for people. So because I don't have the money, those are the three things I'll mention. When I have the money, don't worry, the ideas will come.
awesome. All right. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
You, awesome.
What did you say?
You have diversified a lot from agriculture to real estate. Today we are also building the real estate business. We are also building the agriculture. So I wish I look forward to a time you will be part of quite a number of investments in that area. And and of course, one of those things that I'm also going to be doing is to encourage a lot of you guys in diaspora to invest in Nigeria in technology, digital, education, agriculture, and real estate moving forward. Of course, we'll keep having conversations around that corridor. I must appreciate you, Israel. Thank you very much. I know maybe one of
thank you for inviting me as well.
these days I will still have to invite you back on my channel. I've enjoyed every bit and every part of today's conversation. I have a lot in my head that I feel like I wanted to ask a lot around the Australia culture, their government. How have you been able to compare it with Nigeria culture, Nigerian government? But I can see that you are so happy. You're full of vibrancy, energy. So I know that if a country is not good, it's from the face and from the attitude that we will know. So you are radiating. So I know Australia is good. Like I said, every country has its own challenges. No country is perfect. Even the great America or Canada or whatever. But one thing is very certain: you are doing quite well in Australia. If the government is so harsh, if everything is so harsh, hope they are allowing you to serve your God. To serve God.
I serve my God everywhere. Nobody can stop me. There's freedom of religion everywhere now. I still serve my God, and I'm proud of my God. So yeah.
Awesome. I love that because I know that God is the fundamental, the most important being in our life, and I like when people travel to the country and they still remember God. I think I appreciate that. So thank you very much, Israel. I appreciate you. God bless you for every of the.
Thank you for inviting me.
Or persons that have viewed this podcast today. God bless you guys, and for as many of you that will play back, thank you. Thank you, Israel. Do have a very wonderful, awesome, and great time ahead of you. I wish you a great future.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah.